Some people ask me why I make such negative content. Why do I only show the worst places? In response, I like to say, why do you watch it? Just kidding, people. Illinois's got a lot of great places to live. Illinois's also got a lot of bad places to live. Guess what we're gonna focus on in this video? These are places where you do not want to live, and if you do live here, you probably want to get out. The selection for the cities off of this video is based off of no data, no factual evidence whatsoever, just being judgmental. Just kidding, there's reasons. As we go along, I'll do my best to explain. Number 10 is Springfield.
Been there, done that.
What is it with places named Springfield these days? Springfield, Illinois, Springfield, Ohio, Springfield, Massachusetts, Springfield, Missouri. They're all struggling with their reputations, almost like the name itself comes with a built-in curse. Honest Abe wouldn't be so happy to see what Springfield has become.
Nope.
You know, the government buildings in downtown look all shiny and buttoned up, but the neighborhoods right outside of it, not so much. The economy here has never figured out how to diversify away from government employment, so the city basically lives off of state politics. These days, Illinois' capital city is known for its high crime rates more than anything else. Everyone loves to rip on Chicago and the high crime rates there, but if Chicago is so bad, then Springfield must be the absolute worst, because this town has nearly twice the crime rate of Chicago. Well, good news for you if you're from Springfield, because Springfield isn't the worst, it's just the 10th worst in Illinois. Here are the crime rates for Chicago compared to those of Springfield. As you can see, crime is a problem here, with it being nearly 3 times higher than the national average. It's not just crime though. One of the telltale signs of a city not being a great place to live is population decline. In 2010, Springfield hit a peak population of 116,000. Today that number is down to 112,000. I know that's not the sharpest decline, but it's a decline of around 2% nonetheless, and if the city doesn't solve its crime problem at the least, we can all assume that going forward, the population will continue to drop. Speaking of dropping population numbers, the next city on this list knows quite a bit about that. Number 9 is Rock Island.
Been there, done that.
More like Rock Bottom.
Bruh.
Rock Island is a part of the Quad Cities.
What up, Quad Cities?
And it's definitely the most depressing city in the region. It's sad because when you drive through and see the Broadway Historic District, it makes you want to root for the city to make a real comeback. Unfortunately, I don't think it will anytime soon. Rock Island has a history of industrial manufacturing, especially in the farm equipment sector. The Rock Island Armory, the Rock Island Arsenal, the first railroad bridge over the Mississippi, the history goes on and on. These days, when you drive through Rock Island, you're supporting the mental health field because you're going to want to talk to someone after seeing what most of this city looks like. Downtown Rock Island is empty, while the downtowns elsewhere in the Quad Cities are thriving. The population has dropped from 52,000 in 1960 to 36,000 today. The city's economy relies on a casino to save it from itself. And whenever that happens, you know that things just aren't good. There used to be an extremely high crime problem here, but that's mellowed out quite a bit at least. Still, it's hard to count on a comeback happening for Rock Island when it's a part of a medium-sized metro area that it shares with another state, when that other state has much lower property taxes and not near as many business regulations. Think about it. Why would you pay just shy of $4,000 per year in property taxes on a house that's listed for $190,000 in Rock Island when you can go across the river in Davenport and pay more than $1,000 less per year on property taxes in a house of equal value? It's the same thing for small businesses, but it's even more extreme. They'll pay less in taxes in Iowa than they will in Illinois. And that's why I have strong doubts about Rock Island making a comeback. Businesses can be way more profitable in Iowa. That being said, cities geographically on the edges of the state will be a common thing going forward on this list. I wonder why. Number 8 is Kankakee.
Been there, my friend.
Oh yes, Kankakee, Illinois. Another place that I've made a video on, and actually, to avoid saying it each and every time, I've made a video on every stinking city on this list, so there you go, we're saving some time today. If you haven't heard of it, Kankakee is about an hour drive south of Chicago unless you hit rush hour on the Dan Ryan. Like many Illinois cities that have declined, Kankakee relied on the manufacturing industry during its heyday. Today, it relies on a mix of small businesses, hospitals, and the internal Illinois tradition of, yeah, we'll figure it out eventually. Problem is, I don't think they will, because the city is going to have to be aggressive in making some changes if that's going to happen, and I don't think they will. People continue to leave this city at a rapid pace. The place was home to 31,000 back in 1990, but today it's down to 23,000, a loss of about 7,000 people, or a quarter of the population. Now, there's plenty of areas right outside of Kankakee that are doing fine. Bradley, Bourbonnais, some other small towns that are further away and are out in the country a little bit, but overall, Kankakee County has been losing population. Most likely, it's because people are moving to the lesser taxed state of Indiana right next door. Anyway, Kankakee has also struggled from high crime over the years. These days, the crime has become more so under control, but high crime rates are a big part of the reason as to why the city has declined. The schools aren't that great here either, which further pushes young families away to other communities. One thing that disappoints me about Kankakee is that the downtown is pretty lackluster, and I don't feel like it would take much effort to make the downtown look more appealing. It's something that every city should focus on. The places that are thriving nowadays have figured it out. The places on this list, not so much. Well, now, it's time for a word from this video's sponsor.
Visit Putnam County. We're the most special county in all of the Illinois Valley. Starved Rock and Buffalo State Parks, forget about it. Here in Putnam County, we have pumpkins, a coal mining legacy, and other places to jack around and visit. So come on and swing on by to Putnam County for a visit. Do it now.
Number 7 is Peoria. Peoria has one of the highest crime rates in Illinois. The violent crime rate is over 1,200 for every 100,000 residents, while the property crime rate is over 3,800 for every 100,000 residents. Aside from the high crime rates, the schools aren't the best, which further pushes families to live in one of the other surrounding cities. Economically, it doesn't help that Caterpillar moved its headquarters out of state. Guess where? Ding! That's right. Peoria was the location for Caterpillar's headquarters for around 90 years, until it wasn't. The company still has a large presence in the area, but economically there's not much else here. The city peaked in population back in 1970 at just shy of 127,000, but with the decline of manufacturing jobs and the rise in crime, people moved out. Today the population is down to 111,000, which is a loss of 16,000 people. That's not the craziest decline that we've seen from cities the size of Peoria, but it's a decline nonetheless. Number 6 is Rockford.
Hell yeah, it is.
Rockford probably has the worst reputation for an Illinois city on this list so far. The crime rates are undeniably among the worst in the nation for a city of its size. Basically, you have a 1 out of 93 chance of being a victim of a violent crime here. Not good. So if you're looking for a new business idea, try building a boxing gym here. Or even better, start offering self-defense classes, but make sure to do it virtually and operate out of a neighboring state so that way you're not stuck paying Illinois taxes. Then just target Rockford residents with online ads. Look, you'll be rich in no time. If you do that though, just make sure to mention that you heard it here first on the Chris Harden YouTube channel. Like many other cities on this list, Rockford used to be an industrial giant. Not anymore.
Nope.
Thousands of manufacturing jobs have disappeared, and the city had no backup plan for its economy. The only sector of the economy that's thriving in Rockford these days, really, is healthcare. Most of the schools are bad, 22% of the residents live in poverty, and the west side looks like it gave up sometime around the Clinton administration. Entire neighborhoods are dotted with boarded-up homes, empty lots, and buildings that look frozen in time. Businesses have fled, residents have left, and the few people still living there are stuck with the fallout. The west side, however, is a stark contrast to the east side, which would have you questioning why Rockford is on this list. Number 5 is Decatur.
Is that even a real place?
Decatur is about 2 hours northeast of St. Louis, and about a half hour east of Springfield. Decatur has historically been reliant on manufacturing, particularly in the agricultural sector, so much so that the place is nicknamed as the Soy City.
What up, Soy City?
To make matters worse, back in 2014, ADM moved their headquarters from here to Chicago. They still have some presence in town, it's just not near as big as it used to be. If you want to know what economic decline looks like in corn and soybean form, look no further. The population peaked in 1980 at just shy of 94,000. Today, that number is below 70,000. Aside from job losses with manufacturing, over the years, Decatur has struggled with well above average crime rates and high poverty rates. It doesn't help that the schools perform terribly with super low graduation rates, and really, there's not much of a reason for people to want to move here. If that wasn't enough, Decatur is known for being one of the smelliest cities in all of Illinois.
Gross!
Thanks to the large ADM plant that's still around, and trust me, it smells bad. Plus, the downtown is rather lethargic and it just feels like it's waiting for a big comeback to happen. It probably won't though anytime soon. Really quick, if you like this type of video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons down below. If you don't, that's cool. I mean, effort isn't for everyone, right? Some cities on this list proved that. Hey, I got something to tell you. This next one
Might come as a shock.
Number 4 is Danville.
Hell yeah!
It's one of those cities where you can feel the economic decline the moment that you enter town. The city originally grew as a coal mining hub, before transitioning into a manufacturing hub, before transitioning into a not much of anything hub. Recently, the city demolished their tallest building because it had been abandoned and neglected for so long that chunks of the building material were falling onto the street below, which was one of the city's main thoroughfares. They had to block off a lane for over a year because of it. Danville has had quite a few factories close over the years, General Motors being among the largest and Quaker Oats being among one of the most recent. The population hit its peak in 1970 at 42,000, but today, that number is below 29,000. The schools aren't the greatest, with Danville High School sporting a graduation rate of only 62%. The crime rates are sky high, which has long been a problem here, and it's hard to see things changing here anytime soon. The mayor and his staff, however, are doing what they can. They're trying to change not only the reputation but also the quality of life for their city, and for more on that, you can watch this video here. However, something that you might not expect about Danville is that it's the hometown for both Dick Van Dyke and Gene Hackman. So, at least there's that. Number 3 is Metro East.
Yikes.
Not just one city, and of course not all of them, but quite a few of them. The most notorious of the bunch is East St. Louis. Others that you probably haven't heard of includes Cahokia Heights, State Park Place, Washington Park, Madison, Granite City, and Alton, along with a few others. Cahokia Heights was actually formed pretty recently off of the merging of 3 different communities, Centerville, Cahokia, and Allerton. Since all 3 cities were facing severe population decline which diminished the tax base, they all thought that it would be a good idea to merge together to form one larger city. The problem is, the population decline continues. It continues, because since the merging in 2021, the population has gone from 17,894 to 16,852, a loss of just over 1,000 people, good for a 6% decrease in a span of only 5 years. Not good. On the other hand, East St. Louis has lost 79% of its peak population. Say no more. Granite City and Madison are both doing their best to become the next East St. Louis. Further north, Alton is a city that likes to lean on its storied history, but the population today is down to 25,000, nearly 20,000 less people from its 1960 peak of 43,000. Look, most of Metro East is economically depressed. Of course, not all of Metro East is bad. Edwardsville is a fine place to live. Other places just south of it, like Troy, Maryville, Collinsville, Fairview Heights, and O'Fallon, are decent. Overall, though, the Metro East region, which is made up of Madison and St. Clair counties, has continued to show population decline over the years, as the Missouri side of the St. Louis area continues to be better economic choices for both businesses and people to relocate to. Let me say this, if you think I'm cheating because I'm grouping a bunch of cities into one for this list, well, this list would be made up of only cities from Metro East and from the next group of cities that I'm about to show you. Number 2 is the South Chicago suburbs.
Loser.
Not just one of them, and not all of them, but several. I'm talking about Ford Heights, Sauk Village, Chicago Heights, Harvey, Dalton, Riverdale, Dixmoor, Robbins. The list goes on and on. Ford Heights is definitely the worst of the bunch. Dominated by Section 8 housing, the city was known for its drug deals and violence back in the day. Not much has changed today either, other than the fact that over half of the Section 8 housing in the city is now abandoned. Anytime that Ford Heights makes the news, it's either for some sort of violent crime or it's some sort of corruption, like the mayor stealing money from the city. Ford Heights isn't the only crime-ridden, corrupt suburb down here. Both Harvey and Chicago Heights have crime rates that are sky high. Drive around either suburb and you'll find hundreds of blighted properties. There's also Dalton,
What up, Tiffany Henyard?
that made massive headlines in 2024 when the community went from having a $5.6 million budget surplus at the beginning of her tenure to having a $3.5 million deficit at the end.
Damn.
That's like a $9 million swing. Really, the poverty rates, the crime rates, and the amount of corruption that has gone on collectively in the South Chicago suburbs is absurd, and it's not like anything else that I've seen among a collection of cities anywhere else in the country. I could go on and on about it. There are some places in this cluster of suburbs like Blue Island, Olympia Fields, Lansing, or Matson that aren't that bad, although Matson used to have a large retail district with a shopping mall and big box stores all around, and now that part of town is like a ghost town. Alright, so, if the South Chicago suburbs are so bad, what could possibly be worse? Number 1 is Cairo.
I'm number 1.
Cairo, however you want to say it. Poor Cairo can never catch a break. I went here when I first started this YouTube channel about 6 years ago now, and it's only gotten worse since then. The population is down to below 1,500 now. It was as high as 15,000 back in 1920. Cairo is at the confluence of the Ohio and Mississippi rivers. It's also Illinois' southernmost point. You can't travel anywhere in Illinois and be further away from Chicago. You might as well be in Kentucky. Cairo thrived as a shipping port early on, and when railroads came through, it only helped Cairo grow. Race riots, however, in the 1960s really tore apart the city, and that's when the mass exodus began. It hasn't recovered since. There is no economy all the way down here whatsoever. That's right, no economic momentum. Severe floods over the years have made farmers abandon their land. There's literally nowhere for people to work outside of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, which is a half hour to the west. It's not just Cairo down here either, it's all of Alexander and Pulaski counties. The nearby cities of Mounds and Mound City have seen similar population declines, although neither of those two cities were ever the size of Cairo. At least with the South Chicago suburbs, there's other amenities in nearby cities, and there's other jobs in nearby cities to lean on. Same with the cities in Metro East. Cairo? Not so much. And you better get used to buying your groceries at gas stations and dollar stores. Cairo and the surrounding area really is the worst place that you could live in Illinois. No economy, isolation, no amenities, no jobs, poor infrastructure, no support from the state, and quite literally, no wealth to speak of whatsoever anywhere you look. Honorable mentions for this list includes a string of cities, West Frankfort, Benton, and Johnston City, to the north of Cairo. Those are some places that could also use a real lift. Well, there you have it, the top 10 worst places in Illinois. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know down in the comments. We all know that a list like this is subjective in nature, the worst of anything, the best of anything, but you can base it off of facts, so everybody's list is going to be a little bit different. Regardless, I've made videos on every city that I mentioned on this list, and you can check out my Illinois playlist here for more. Peace.